Good afternoon. Thank you, Vince. That was a very eloquent and well-informed review, short and sharp, of a very elaborate history of new media that we build upon now in our museum exhibitions. And for this very brief talk, I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we have several exhibitions on show here, and just to unpack them slightly, and then to give you an opportunity to go and evaluate them yourselves. And there's a little exercise for everybody. So the immersive view, embodied experiences for cultural data. And these are comments on analyzing the situated experience for the Pure Land projects and for the eCloud project. Specifically, I want to explore these issues: the strategies of visualization, what does it mean to animate a mural painting, the issues of the virtual facsimile, scale, preservation, and site protection, multi-user versus single-user multi-spectator. This is the high touch, low touch, and no touch. And the fourth issue, online and offline. What does it mean to harness internet data for the big screen? Because Europeana is exactly that. The setting for this research, most of you will know this, over the past few days we had a party at Alive, the Applied Laboratory for Interactive Visualization at the Hong Kong Science Park. So after the lectures, we've had 3 lectures on Donghuan since we began. So you are all Donghuan experts, and I'm not going to go into it. North China, in Gansu province, the site of Greater Donghuan is over 700 caves, but 464 in the area. The Pure Land project takes the laser scan data of Cave 220 and the resultant optimized model, and the high-resolution textures of Cave 220. And in particular, we've been treating the Eastern Pure Land medicine Buddhas on the north wall of this cave. The AV system was used. It's an approximate 1-to-1 scale experience, and this is an important issue that we can discuss. What does it mean to display things at relative scale? Susan actually brought that up. She said, I've seen this on my iPhone, but I never knew it was that big. So these are 1-to-1 scale experiences, and we're dealing with this quite a lot. We now have data that can do this. So this is also a very unusual image. It's a laser scan of the escarpment at Donghuan, and we use that as an entry point to the Donghuan experience. And is there anyone in the room who hasn't seen this work? Because that's also interesting for me. So I recommend that you do. It's on the 8th floor, okay? So I'm not going to show videos of a work that you've experienced, but more to step through the process, the magnifying glass. These are all different techniques of visualization. If you put an expert in this cave with a magnifying glass, it's about a 2-hour experience. These mural paintings are extremely rich with detail. As a collaborative project, there was a lot of discussion when it came to the recoloring of the mural paintings. This is the Bodhisattva coming to worship at the medicine Buddha, and 18 stages of recoloring involved, which were then just scanned and recomposited to create these repainted as original elements. And you saw them here. Another strategy, different type of strategy, is a 3D modeling, a very useful didactic tool that was an incense burner. These were all modeled and inserted back into the scene. And similarly, the instruments were done that way as 3D models. There are 24 musicians in that painting. Instruments coming from not only China, but right through Central Asia. Another type of visualization is to take advantage of real-life performance and 3D video capture in a blue screen studio. These are the dancers that came down from Beijing. And then recolored and reinserted back into the scene. So why is it necessary, or why would we want to provide experiences like this? And of course, as has been pointed out at Dongguan, the pressure on the caves, the humidity caused and human dioxide problems of human breath means that these caves have to be closed to the public. It's possible that all caves should be closed to the public. So providing one-to-one scale facsimiles becomes an entry point, and only entry point for this kind of material. It takes up to 3 months to image a single cave, so the amount of data and data accumulation that's being done at Dongguan is, I think it's the largest scale project in the world of this nature. So when we launched Pure Land, it was just for 3 weeks. It was really a short show. There were over 200 newspaper articles written in that time, 200 phone calls a day for the entire of the 3 weeks. There were 1,400 non-VIP tours, public tours. And I put out a 4-page form, and 1,040 people filled it in. And that's a phenomenon, I think, in this part of the world, is that people fill in forms if you give them to them. And it's great. For a museum person, it's fantastic. So I was able to just look briefly into what people were thinking. Obviously, have you seen a 3D installation before? They may be thinking about a 3D movie. Have you ever been to Dongguan before? The large majority is no. Dongguan itself is very rich in the cultural imaginary of Chinese people. Everybody knows it, but nobody's been there. Or not many people have been there until recently. But the strategy for virtual facsimile doesn't really work, because everybody now wants to go to Dongguan. So I was able to analyze what the public thought about different visualization strategies. And in my own mind, of course, I know what I think works, but it was also reinforced in the data that we received. The magnifying glass, the ability to scrutinize paintings is really, really profound, and people want to do that. The lowest ranking are really the animations. Taking a mural painting, which is very rich and really already animated. These are brilliant artists. Why would we want to reanimate? The 3D modeling is also well appreciated as a useful didactic tool. So then we took the same data set and remodeled it in the augmented work. Has everyone seen that work? Anybody not seen that work here? Okay, it's in the room next door, so I recommend that you go there after this in the breakout session. So it uses camera tracking and augmented reality. Once again, a one-to-one scale of the cave. 2 iPads. When you walk into the cave wall, it's one-to-one scale. You can look at the ceiling, which you can't do in the other system. You're navigating a virtual model and the real world at one-to-one scale simultaneously. So I show this because this goes to one of my core questions about multi-user and single-user multi-spectator scenarios. For me, this is the best thing that goes on in museums. It's that socialization around a particular object. In this case, it's a screen looking at a virtual world, but that everybody, if they had their own iPhone, would be doing a singular experience, and we would lose this communion. And I am always asked to create multi-user works, and I always say no. That this model, where you get that socialization, is very, very strong, and it's at the core of what museums are about. This video is interesting, and I have a lot of this, and this shows what men do in this space as opposed to what women do. Women do the experience, and men try and work out how it works. And there's a lot of video like that. So it is currently, the newer version of this work is currently at the Shanghai Biennale. And it's there for 6 months. It was receiving 9,000 visitors a day when the Biennale opened. And these images are just to show you the huge demographic range of interest in this single screen. This is a grandmother with her granddaughter, and then grandmother abandons granddaughter and rushes off with a scream. So we'll just move briefly in the time that I have to eCloud. I've got 1 minute. This is internet data. We have done nothing to this data. It's harvested directly from the internet, and it's just reformulated on this screen. And so what I want to use this work to do, and what I would like you to do, is to go out in this space. We've heard about this site, so I don't need to go through it so much. Crowdsourced World War I material for Europeana. And I'll just jump to my last slide, because what I want you to do is just reflect. There are a lot of experts in the room, but there's also a lot of people who are new to this. And I think being able to articulate why bringing this material off the internet with what does it mean to bring it into a situated space? What can you, how can you describe this experience? And so there's a piece of paper outside, and for those people who want to look at this work, if you could just write down your response to this single question, I'll read them out at the end. Okay. One more slide. For the rest of you, can go through into the iPad Dongwan show and look at our prototype interface together with Anita Kossis.
Thank you. While we do the swap over, would there maybe be a question or two for Sarah?
Sarah, could you just elaborate? You said something that's, to me, it seems like it's quite profound, that you're always asked to design multi-user interfaces. You're always asked to design multi-user interfaces, and you always say no. Did you
I'm always asked to design, many interfaces. Yeah. So everybody, often when they look at that work there, they say, but everybody could do this with their iPhone. Yes, everybody can do that with their iPhone, but that socialization is what we're after.
Because they're sharing the
experience, yeah.
That's really interesting, and I'm just, it's pinging for me again so much of the criticism from the traditional audio tour world about headphones being isolating.
Yes.
And I always said it doesn't have to be if the content is designed to encourage sharing.
Yes, and that is also possible with multiple interfaces. You can do that, definitely. I don't think we have our technology as sophisticated as to allow that, but it's certainly coming, to be able to share and have a cumulative, distributed experience in a situated space. Definitely, yeah. Complex.
Just a quick question. Quick question, if I may. Oops.
Oh, sorry.
Quick question. As a male, I would love to know how it works, but what are the plans for you to what are the next steps for the technology itself? Do you have any plans to commercialize it or open it out under open source?
We don't have plans to commercialize it. That's not the business we're really in. But the next stage for that work is actually to use real-time annotations. So when you walk into the wall, every detail on that painting has a description. As for commercialization, it's a very tricky business. I'll leave it there.